then. Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Sian Davis, and I am the Volunteer Recruitment Officer here at Discovery, and I'm also with two of our kind of student leaders. So I don't know, Flick, if you want to introduce yourself first, and then Owen.
Yeah, so I'm Felicity. I also go by Flick. I am the project coordinator for Connect, previously the project coordinator for Wellbeing Champions, but they've kind of merged, which I'll chat about a little bit later. I'm also a trustee of Discovery, and I sort of like just appeared out of nowhere, I think about 3 years ago, and have sort of been swallowed up by Discovery and not left since. Yeah, so that's me.
Cool. Owen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Owen Brooks. I am currently, seventh year. Absolute final, yeah. I am currently the VP for Discovery. Yes, and I'm also, which means I'm a trustee, and so I help with the running of the charity, so that's quite good. I've been in Discovery now for about, for how many years, Sean, has it been?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. We'll just leave it at quite a few. And yeah, it's a really good experience. I've gotten to know the charity. I've done new things, and it's been a great time.
Brilliant. And is everybody up for saying who they are? Are people all right to say who they are, what course they're doing, and if they've done any volunteering before?
I can start if you like. So my name's Lily. I'm joining Swansea for the criminology and psychology. Embarrassed to say I haven't done volunteering before, so this will be a new venture.
Hi Lily, nice to meet you.
Thank you, you too.
Anybody else willing to say? You don't want to come off mic, you can always put it in the chat.
Hi, we are Sarah, Eleanor, and Sophie. We're living in the same house, so we're doing it over one iPad right now. And both of them studying psychology, and I'm doing psychology and criminology, and we are all in the second year. And I think we all haven't done volunteering before, but we want to start with it now.
Brilliant, welcome. Hello. Anybody else? That's fine. Don't feel like, the whole thing is, it's a Sunday afternoon, so the fact you're even here is amazing. So you're studying psychology and mental health. Brilliant. We've got lots of psychologists today and criminologists.
I feel like I will be hoovering them all up for Connect.
Anybody else want to introduce themselves? Oh, so you said you have volunteered with children before, school-age children, but not adults. Fantastic. Welcome. Oh, there's another. I feel like we've got a full house.
Criminal justice and criminology. I feel like this particular course there must have been a really good advertising campaign of that course.
So is it Shani, if I pronounce that right? Shani? Yeah.
No, it's Shani.
Shani.
Yeah, thanks.
There we go. Sorry, Shani. It's the dreaded, chat on, getting people's names pronounced correctly on Zoom is awful. So you've had experience who volunteer with young men who are at risk of offending, and you're doing a master's in applied criminology and criminal justice and criminology. Welcome. Anybody else willing to say who they are? So I'll go on to the next thing, and then if maybe Owen or Felicity could keep an eye on the chat and just kind of, if anyone has asked anything or says anything, then let me know if that's all right. So who is Discovery? So basically we're a registered charity. We were set up over 50 years ago by students just like yourselves who had come to university and wanted to make a difference in Swansea. Now we have a variety of different projects. We have over 25 projects operating this year. We do one-off volunteering. So also today, for example, there's a beach clean happening down on Swansea Bay. We also do virtual volunteering. So the great thing is that it doesn't matter where you are in the world, because the one thing we have found because of COVID, some students still haven't been able to come back to Swansea because of restrictions on their country. So we've still got students in Malaysia and stuff, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can volunteer with us. We are part of Swansea University, but we're an independent charity. So we're based at the university, and 95% of our volunteers are Swansea University students, but we're independent. The one thing I will say is, just in case no one's realised, we are still in the middle of a global pandemic, just in case anyone hasn't realised what's gone on for the last 18 months. That's had a bit of an impact on our projects, because we work with lots of vulnerable people and people at risk. We used to go into care homes, we used to go and read in hospitals to isolated patients, we used to go into schools and do literacy in schools. Of course, because of COVID, lots of our projects have had to adapt, lots of our projects have had to change, and everything we do is subject to COVID regulations. It's looking promising at the moment. That at the moment we definitely will have some projects working in person, but some of our projects will still be remote, and some of our projects will still be on Zoom and stuff. And as things change with COVID, our projects will adapt and flex. We're hoping, I'm feeling positive on a Sunday afternoon that things are looking good, and maybe it means more projects can meet in person, but who knows? I couldn't tell you what's going to happen in November or December. There's no way back in March, in February 2020, I would have known that I would have been sat in my garage for 18 months doing my work. So, everything is subject to that. So bear with us, but hopefully you'll realise there's lots of great things that you can get involved in, and there's lots of great projects that you can do. And I think actually nothing makes you think about connecting with people and trying to make a difference like a global pandemic, which makes you kind of reflect on one of my favorite quotes about the last 18 months is that we've all been in the same storm, but we've all got in different boats, and nothing makes you reflect on what kind of boat you're in, and then having a look at other people's boats and realizing maybe your boat is a bit more well equipped than other people's. So kind of reaching out and connecting with people and helping everyone through what's going on has kind of inspired lots of people to volunteer. So over to you guys, really. Why have you all wanted to volunteer, but also why do you think people volunteer? Does anybody want to say? Again, just stick it in the chat. Why do you think people want to volunteer?
I think kind of selfishly, it's a way to make yourself feel good by giving back. And like you said, like we've all been through something so awful, but you do reflect on what other people have been through, and you think, okay, now I actually realize I'm quite lucky, so there's a lot of people out there that I can help.
Yeah, Lily, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think the last 18 months has made lots of us think about, I looked at my situation. I live out on the Gower, so I'm really lucky and stuff, and I did have to have a little word with myself when I was like, oh my god, I'm really fed up of walking down 3 cliffs. And then I just thought, my god, I'm gonna have to have a little chat with myself, like, aren't I'm really privileged about where I live, and that was my world, and compared to other people's worlds, and I was able to still look after my daughter at home and help her with homeschool. Well, she's with 2, so I was still able to do lots of activities with her and have that access to resources and stuff, while lots of people didn't. So it does really make you reflect on kind of how we can help other people. And I think also there's nothing like the volunteer glow. There's nothing like that fuzzy volunteer glow of just helping someone else. So yeah, anybody else, any other reasons why you've volunteered? And Flick and Owen, you can chip in as well and say, why did you volunteer? Why did you come to Discovery?
Yeah, I was about to say there's no right or wrong answer, because some people volunteer for their CV because you can get the Hero Award. And it's kind of like an add-on when you graduate, and it just shows all the extra stuff you did at university. But also you can sort of volunteer if you want to gain experience in different areas. So I know in the Connect project, we have people who've been interested in social media, and we have a social media arm. And so it combines their interests in volunteering while also gaining experience creating content for social media. So there's a wide variety. It could be something you're interested in, something you want to build skills in. It's literally like, I think there is literally something for everyone in discovery, depending on what your time commitment is and what you can give or what your interest is. We're quite varied.
I was going to say there's also nothing wrong with being a bit selfish at times. I think it's great to take advantage of all the opportunities you can when you're in discovery, because some people are only here for a year and sometimes people are here for 3 years. And I think what we have on offer is a wide range of projects, but we also do stuff like the Hero Awards, the Gold Award. We have opportunities where you can volunteer with the charity and actually get higher up in the charity, either as a project coordinator, as a trustee. So it's a good experience to get stuff on your CV as well while you're in a good position as well. So
Owen, do you want
to there too? So
Owen, do you want to tell people why you started volunteering?
Well, yeah, well, that's exactly the thing, really. I went in and I was just like, I want to do the least amount of stuff possible, just get work experience on my form and then go, which is
and we've still got him
but
4 years later and he's now our vice president.
Exactly.
So
And I think
that's the office and when I just want some quick experience, make my CV look good, and that's it. And we've still got him 4 years later and he's now in the most second to most senior student position in the organisation. There's a lot.
But yeah, no, and I think it's that level of experience that the more you get in with the charity, the more you get to know people, the more you put in, the more you get out type thing. I think that's important as well. And I think most importantly, while you may be there for reasons like study or helping the community, I mean, it's all about having fun as well. I think that's a very important part of it as well. You are a student and it's really nice to interact with people day in and day out, and when the office environment starts to get back to normal a bit as well, it's a good opportunity for free coffee and tea as well. So
we kind of touched on some of the things, but there's lots of stuff that I've put up on here, which is people really enjoy discovery because it kind of feels like a community or their family at university, and they've been able to make friends. Like Owen's a master's student, Felicity's a PhD student. We've got some of you guys who are undergrads and stuff, so it's a real chance to meet people from across the university and all different undergrads and postgrads, to do something you're passionate about, to try out career options and stuff. So you might want to find out if you want to work with older adults, if you want to work in criminology, if you want to work as a police officer, if you want to work with children and stuff. This is a great supportive way to find it out. Have a break from your studies. I think, like there's nothing that can, if it's exams are coming up, or if you're having a deadline and stuff, actually coming and doing a couple of hours of volunteering and completely removing yourself from studies and the university environment can really help your own well-being. We've got loads of ways of learning and developing new skills, so we have lots of leadership opportunities in discovery, so you can help run projects, you can help run the charity. But the other thing is that we run lots of training workshops. So this year we've got training workshops on looking after your friends, so how to look after your friends who might be having a rough time with their well-being, things like trans equality, things like anti-racism and allyship and stuff. So there's loads of really great training that's all free to our volunteers as well. So that also will look really good in your CV. So I kind of wanted to chat a little bit about, rather than hearing it from me, is actually ask a couple of the students. So Owen and Felicity, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about why you volunteered or what your volunteering journey has been like. So Felicity, do you want to go first? Is that all right?
Yeah, so I initially started out, I think, I don't want to say a bit like Owen, with like sort of less hours than what I was doing initially. I did things like Food Swansea, which, if we're talking about selfish, you get free food, and it was amazing. And it was timed at such a time where it's sort of the end of the day, you could go chat with people. And also, selfishly, I was a little bit lonely as a PhD student, as a class of one. So you got food and you got to chat to people, and it was really good. So it was a volunteering opportunity that kind of, filled two niches that I needed filled. But from there, it's kind of developed. I went to Coffee Mates, and then I was doing Wellbeing Champions and Connect. And sort of with Wellbeing Champions, I was there as sort of a participant, and slowly somehow I ended up going from sort of volunteer straight to project coordinator. But it was really good, and it didn't feel like too much of a jump. because there's a lot of support there in place. So like if you were sitting there thinking, oh, I don't know if I could do that, you've got people there to support you so that you can do that and that you can gain that experience. And with Wellbeing Champions now becoming part of Connect, it's part of an even bigger family and network of students. So Connect is across 2 universities, and it's absolutely amazing. And the other day we had an opportunity at the Welfare Day where we all got to make interesting looking clay models and experiment with our creative side. And everybody got to take some clay home, and it was just, it's really good, because like the thing about Connect, one of the things that I'm really proud of is the fact that we are student run and student led. So what students want, we do. And so if they say to us, we want to do something like this, we'll facilitate it. So last year, some students wanted to have some yoga sessions, and we got that. And some students also wanted a caterpillar cake because of the whole thing with M&S and Aldi. And we got caterpillar cakes. I spent an entire morning hunting down caterpillar cakes in Swansea. It turns out Aldi no longer were doing them because of M&S, and it was a whole thing. But you know, it's been really good. And I think that's the one thing about volunteering is it's different every time you go in and do something, but also it does get you out of the flat. And I think one of the things that helped me, especially during the pandemic, I was shielding, was the fact that I had an online space to go and chat to people and to be engaged. So it wasn't like the only person I saw was my other half, which God love them, you know, we saw a lot of each other. But I got to see other people probably more than they did. And so volunteering has just been really helpful to like my mental health and well-being, but also really helpful in developing skills and making friends. And I think as a PhD student, like as I say, class of 1, it's been really helpful because unlike when I was undergrad, I had all these friends around me. I haven't had that as I've sort of progressed through postgrad. But that being said, sometimes when you're undergrad, you can feel like you're alone in a room full of people. And so I think Discovery can fill the niche and provide that family and a wide range of people who really just want to be friends. We're all very friendly. And we do lots of different events and stuff like that for people to get to know each other. So we've had escape rooms and other things. So lots of stuff for volunteers, lots of opportunities. There is something for everyone. So like if you're unsure, just dip your toe in the water and we'll find something.
What about you, Owen? Do you want to say a little bit about what you've got out of it and what your experience has been?
So I say now, I'll phrase it more now that I'm more towards the end of my volunteering journey and going into jobs and stuff. It's really been
It
interesting.
comes to the end of your masters, aren't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, and now I'm doing like an additional accreditation thing now, and then that is absolutely there will be no more. My parents were very happy with that. But I think it was like when I was like I
Owen's one of these internal students.
and I'm getting out of that system now. So I like got a job at Wagamama's, and that was an interesting experience. Like using my knowledge of Discovery, like building up the CV, getting that, using it to stand out from the crowd, like the additional experience. And I know that's what quite a lot of people do as well. And I think it's also about using the skills for the wider workplace. So how can, like I've used it for my dissertation, like looking at stuff like that and expanded it within the digital marketing world. And it's like expanding, it's basically all about what I've learned is that from volunteering experience, you can get all this wonderful experience and then you can expand upon it then for future jobs and careers. Like some people go to the charity sector, some people work for Discovery, whereas my things are more perhaps more special, opening up specialized businesses and looking at that disability aspect in the future. And I think that's an important part of Discovery, is that not just it builds up your CV, but your skill set. There's lots of additional training opportunities. There's classes beyond, like there's important things you can do, like anti-racism, like training and days, but also you can do, I think it was, I did a social media course or something like that Sean and one of the people from the SU did as well, and that was interesting, and that went into actually photography aspects as well, like taking pictures and stuff like that. And that experience was quite good in order to learn more about the social media sides of stuff as well. And it's through that I've actually got like done Canva and website editing now and stuff like that. And I think that's important, is to see what skill sets you have now and use Discovery, the opportunities they provide to you to expand in the future.
What's been some of your favourite memories of Discovery, guys?
Abseiling.
You know, I always ask this.
Abseiling was scary. That's terrifying. That was fun.
You had to
Oh,
abseil down the building, didn't you, Bay Campus?
Yeah.
Took 4 minutes.
I think well, my favourite thing was getting snowed in during trustee away day. That was fun. Yeah, just mounds and mounds of snow or something like that. And that was interesting. But also, like, the away days, I think, are good memories as well, because it's you're bonding with everyone. You have the opportunity to use, like, your food gets paid for you as well, which is quite a nice experience as well. And it's that just experience of just having that conversation. Also, we've had like the slug and lettuce. That was nice as well. You can tell I like the food element of it more.
I will do anything for a free meal.
Well, also, I really liked it when I like some of the games and activities that people did as well. I think that was quite a nice, quite thing, seeing more interactive elements. And overall, I've just liked everyone. I think it's just a great experience.
What about you, Felicity? What's been some of your favourite memories?
Oh, I think like the first thing that came to mind is the fact we did GeoGuessr with Ben, who was a Discovery staff member, and we landed in an area where one of the people present actually knew like the street. So like in GeoGuessr, you're guessing where you've landed in the world, and they knew instantly where we were because they'd been there and they'd lived like just down the road, which was amazing. But there's so many different things. So like earlier this week, the Student Union Connected funded some of the sewing machines. So we're making reusable period pads. And so doing things like that has been really important to me because we're trying to tackle period poverty. And so it's a real tangible way in which you can see the work that you're doing having a real world impact. So another one was I made ear savers and scrubs during the, well, I say during the pandemic, we're not out of it, but earlier in the pandemic. And I made superhero themed ones for pediatric wards. And so like, I think for me, some of my favorite parts are when you get to see the real world impact or you get feedback about what you're doing, because sometimes it can feel like you're doing little things and you don't see that immediate impact, but it is having an impact and it ripples back to you. And when it does, it just kind of like feeds your incentive to keep going back and doing more. And I would say escape rooms, but I find escape rooms very stressful. Everybody else enjoys them very much. I just find myself freaking out over which number goes where. So if you see me in an escape room, mine is not the team to be on, but they are very fun. I'm just maybe not the best person to be with in that situation because I find it very stressful, but they are fun. I fully recommend for anyone who wants to try it online. But yeah, I think escape rooms online are more of an acquired taste, but definitely very good for team building because you learn who crumbles under a lot of stress.
I'll expand upon Felicity's point slightly. I think, it's interesting to see that the person who's doing the period poverty workshop is the current SU president, who used to be a Discovery member, and she was actually on my project, and that was interesting because she actually ended up as part of it going to one of those workshops or something like that, where she had to make it, and I think that idea stuck, and it shows really, as Felicity said, that you take these basic experiences and you see how people grow with them, I think, and that's really nice, and a nice thing of Discovery to see how people start at the beginning of their journey often and how they appear years later. And it's like there are quite a lot of them, like, what, Sean, who's the rugby player again that used to volunteer with Discovery? Can't remember what was it. Robin, was it Robin something?
Robin, yeah, she plays for Wales.
Yeah, and she still has that experience and brings up Discovery quite a bit on her Facebook. And you often get it all like, what was a good one? It's like the old president of Discovery came like to a freshers fair or something like that 4 years ago or something like that, and took a picture with the current president. And it's just seeing those people that even outside of their journey years later, they still are part of Discovery. They're still sharing on Facebook. They're still communicating, and they're still there really as part of that whole family aspect even years later, and that's really interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. I think the friends that you make across different sort of ages and different backgrounds and different experiences, and so like with the GeoGuessr thing, we were doing sort of weekly online kind of like pubs where people just sort of got together and played games, and it was really good for getting to know other people, and also because we couldn't see each other face to face. But you really do develop that kind of wider friendship circle outside of maybe people you may not otherwise get to meet.
Cool. If anyone's got any questions, then do put them in the chat, because it's really great to have two students who kind of are going to go, you know, gone through what being both an undergraduate and a master's and a PhD student, and also volunteered. One thing I was going to ask is how did you find volunteering and also fitting in your studies and stuff? I think it's one of the biggest worries that people worry about is how does volunteering fit in with studies? Who wants to take that one?
I would say I'm probably the worst example because I tend to put too much on my plate at the best of times. However, I will say Discovery are very good for sort of going, do you think maybe taking like a week off might be good, you know, to do something nice for yourself? And so if you're not able to meet, say, a deadline, or you've got stuff on, Discovery are very, very good about being flexible around your studies and what you have to do. So if you do feel like you're under pressure, there's always someone to go and talk to. But yeah, I am the worst example. I wrote down all the stuff I'm doing recently, and I'm into like double figures at the minute. I'm a bad example. Don't be me.
I am also a terrible example. I have the scars to prove it on my arm. But I think the importance of maintaining a healthy work-life balance is really important. And I think although Discovery is, of course, I'm encouraging you to join it, it's also a great thing to do it as a flexible thing around your studies, I think. And that's how Discovery is meant to be done, really. I think it's really that option to do something in your spare time, volunteer, help the community, but also to advance your own studies, I think. And I think over time maintaining that healthy work-life balance has been really important, I think. If you can't do something, always let them know. That's what Sian says. Always email and keep that regular contact.
Yeah, and there's always projects that, you know, depending what your time commitment is, you can find something. So like with Wellbeing Champions, it was about 1 hour a week for our volunteers. And not everybody came every week, but it depends. You know, some have more hours, some have less, but there's something for you that you can find that will work around your schedule.
One of the things I'll say is, you know, 95% of our volunteers are students. So I think we are very used to in Discovery what I call the ebb and flow of the academic year. So we kind of know, for example, in January, everybody's just thinking about exams and deadlines, and then kind of final year students in March, April, lots of them are suddenly like it's all about dissertations. The master's students, they're around a lot in the summer, but then suddenly September, they're like, oh my God, got to hand everything in by the end of September and stuff. So we're very used to, you know, having students as volunteers, and we've got so many different projects. You can just find something that suits you. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other benefits for you guys. Is you could have a HEAR award. So the Higher Education Achievement Record is something, if you do 50, 75 or 100 hours, you're eligible for it, and that's a great way. So when you might finish your undergrad or your postgrad, you'll get a certificate off the university about your academic studies, but you'll also get a Higher Education Achievement Record that is recognised by employers. We also will be your reference. If you do 50 hours or more volunteering with us, then we'll be your referee. So those of you who are applying for jobs, and one of the things lots of people have said, Owen's kind of alluded to it, is lots of people use us, but also they've sat in job interviews and people have said, oh, you know, give us examples of teamwork. How have you managed your time? And all this kind of stuff. I mean, and Discovery's given them concrete examples of working with different diverse groups of people, working in teams, leadership, how to manage your time and stuff. You've got great examples. I don't think hardly any volunteer doesn't talk about their volunteering. And actually, one of the things some of our volunteers have said, well, all of my interviews have been about Discovery. They've asked me questions about my volunteering because it's so interesting and has set me aside. And like one of our students last year said they were a digital media volunteer, and she said she got 3 paid internships on the back of the digital media stuff she'd done for Discovery, because she just went for this with a portfolio of, this is stuff I've produced, social media content I've produced for a local charity in Swansea, and they were so impressed that she'd done this stuff for a charity. She got 3 paid internships on the back of it and said it's really helped her career. So there's great stuff like that. Leadership. So those of you who might be thinking, oh, you know, I want to learn how to be a leader, which is what Felicity and Owen have done. We've got lots of opportunities we're looking for. So there's a couple of you who are interested in criminology and have worked with young people. We are looking for a project coordinator to help us set up our project in a youth club. We've been asked to reset up now the pandemic is not in this stage, whatever stage this is and whatever wave this is, but not that we're all locked at home stage, and we can actually see people in the real world. So we've been asked to reset up a youth club in an area of Swansea that's one of the social deprived areas of Swansea. So you will have a real impact on the young people. It'll be working with people between the ages of 8 to 16, and you will help kind of set that youth club up. So if you want to go into youth work, if you want to go into work around, you know, social deprivation and all that kind of stuff, then it's a real good project to get involved in. We're looking for trustees. So from the end of October, we will be looking for students to become trustees like Felicity and OIN are. So all charities in the UK are run by trustees. Half of the trustee board in Discovery are students. So isn't it great, you know, as a young person like OIN and Felicity, who will go to interviews and say, well, how have you, tell us something about management and stuff. And they'll both say, well, I've helped run a charity. Whilst I was at university, I also helped run a charity and did that strategic view, and both have been look after different areas. We have that extensive training program and stuff. So we talked about some of the training we do stuff like first aid training, refugee and asylum seeker awareness, autism awareness, and that's all free. So we just keep looking for the training opportunities. We've talked quite a bit about the socials and stuff, and also get lots of support. So there's a team of staff that we're student led, but we've got a whole, you know, the reason why I exist is to support you guys in your volunteering and help you do what you do. So that's some of the other kind of official benefits of volunteering. Wanted to talk a little bit about the different projects. So we have over 25 projects at the moment. I will quickly put in the chat now our project guide. So do go and have a look at our project guide and stuff. So on that, you'll see I've sent a whole load of links. So on that, I've got our website, how to volunteer, but also our projects. Our projects are being updated weekly. I've got to change the project guide next week because we've got a couple more projects. We're really excited. A couple more projects are meeting in person again and have come back and said, hey, we want to start. So Circus Eruption, which is an amazing project teaching circus skills to disabled children and non-disabled children. And it's such a place of accessibility and how the world should run. Basically, they're able to start meeting again in person at the end of October, so they want students to go and start volunteering with them. So it's really nice that some of our projects, as the restrictions are not as strong, and we can start meeting in person. So some of our projects are coming back. So we work with children. We've got our buddied reading project, which is around children's literacy. We've got building blocks, which is working with children with additional needs and with children using Lego to engage them. We've got Inspire, which has been inspiring young people, particularly through lockdown, on how to engage. So they've created quizzes, they've created scavenger hunts, they've made them packs and sent them home. So the students created these wonderful activity packs so children have things to do at home in lockdown. Then we do work with disabled adults. So those of you who maybe want to get some experience working with disabled adults, so we've got a couple of projects that do that work. We've got Musical Memories Choir. This one, something that really feels important to me because both of my grandparents had dementia. So once a week you go down to this choir down in Mumbles and help people and carers of people with dementia just go along to a choir and have a sing along. We also do Active 18. So once a week we have a group of adults
Has Shan
together and do activities. Those activities are still a really important connection, if that makes sense, because lots of things are still not open. So the stuff like that means they have that regular connection with each other, but with students is really important. If you wanted to get some one-on-one experience, we do our supported volunteering. So some of our disabled adults volunteer and students support them volunteering. One of my favorite stories about one of our supported volunteers is when they came to Discover, we always asked them, what do you want to learn to do? And one of them said, I want to learn how to make a cup of tea and make a cup of tea for everybody in the office. Now, anyone who's worked in the office knows making the cup of tea normally is the worst bloody job ever. But because this person had so many barriers in her life put up, she just wanted to make a cup of tea for her colleagues and for the people in the office like everyone else, and had never been given that opportunity. And we made it happen. We had to go and research and get a kettle that she could use and make an accessible kettle and stuff. And the fact that, it's such a small thing, but that changed her life. That was something she'd always wanted to do and had never been able to do anywhere else. And she was able to come in and ask everybody else, anyone want a cup of tea? And was able to go and make a cup of tea just like anybody else. And that to me is still something, you would be part of that and making the difference to someone's life like that. We do work with older adults. So we've got a great project where you get paired with an older adult and you will do weekly phone calls with them and stuff. Older people in Wales pre-pandemic, there was lots of older people who were isolated. You can imagine the pandemic has added to that because lots of people's community and lifelines and connections have been removed. Lots of people are still, even though we're in this different phase of the pandemic, they still don't want to go out to the supermarket or sit in a cafe because we are still living in a pandemic and stuff. And so particularly older people who feel that they're vulnerable and don't want to get ill. They've spent 18 months watching the bloody news, which is telling them there's this horrible thing around. So they might still be staying at home. So having a student phone them once a week and have a chat with them is really good. And we also do with the children, with the disabled adults older, we do pen pal scheme. So our oldest pen pal is 89. So you exchange letters and have that connection again. Practical projects. So we do our beach cleans. There's one going on today. We've got the Vetch, which is a great community garden down just behind the prison. So that's a practical project where you go and there's at least 20 different communities from Swansea. Within the 20 different communities within the Swansea community come down to those gardens and you go and help them garden. Also, you get free pizzas. I'm surprised Erwine's not there. You get free pizzas and cake and stuff. Like some of the older women there love baking, so they'll make you jam and cakes and will blast and fire up the pizza oven and stuff. So you go and spend some time connecting with all these different communities in Swansea, helping them do their garden and also get free food. And we got community partners. So our COP project, there's a couple of criminology students and stuff. Our COP project is starting up again. We had to suspend it for 18 months, surprise, surprise, because of the pandemic. We are looking at starting that up again in the next month or two. And we're not quite sure what that looks like because we're working with the police, but you will work really closely with the South Wales Police and do lots of different kind of campaigns and stuff. So that will be starting up. And then we've got our virtual volunteering, which is, we've got projects that you can do anywhere in the world at any time. So, instead of watching another episode of Married at First Sight, there's you only want to really binge watch 3 of those episodes maximum before it starts doing something to you. Rather than do that, is maybe go and do some virtual volunteering. You can go and count seals in the Thames estuary. You can help transcribe the letters from 19th century anti-slave campaigners and stuff. There's some great opportunities. You can be someone's eyes. So there's this thing called Be My Eyes, where you sign up to help a visually impaired person. So they will ask you to be their eyes over the internet, which I think is just amazing. So that stuff, you can make a difference virtually. So it doesn't matter where you are. If you have to quarantine for a couple of weeks because you're coming back to Swansea and stuff, there's still stuff you can do. So go and have a look at the projects and stuff. I'll get Felicity to talk a little bit about Connect, if that's all right. I haven't connected our mental health project. Do you want to talk about it, Felicity, rather than myself?
Yes, so Connect is a one-to-one peer support service for students. We have staff and student connectors. All connectors will get trained up in different training for mental health. So staff connectors get mental health first aid, student connectors get things like look after your mate. And when people are looking sort of that one-to-one support, they go to our website and we have a catalogue basically of our volunteers, and it just gives a little bit of information. So say if they're into, like me, Star Trek, role play, things like that, and they can find someone who they really click with. And so after that, once you've signed up, then other information, if you agree to basically be connected with the student, other information from you will be sent over, such as a photograph and things like that. So we do have a couple of things. So like you're not immediately giving away all your sort of information about yourself at that first stage. You have to agree to be connected with the student. So there's an agreement on both sides. When you do agree to meet, we plan to have stuff where you can go to societies with them. So they say if someone's anxious about going to an event, you could go with them. But we also have online support. So some people have played Animal Crossing with each other across Zoom. And when we do have coffee sort of get-togethers for you and the student, if you're a connector and you're volunteering, you can get your coffee paid for. So we have a fund to support, so you're not going to be out of money, because if you're meeting weekly, getting a coffee, it does add up. But under Connect, we don't just have the one-to-one peer support. We also have group support. And so that basically is what Wellbeing Champions is coming in under Connect. So that's sort of 1 hour a week. At the minute, we're online, but we're hoping to do some face-to-face. So it'll be a little bit of a mix for both. So if you are volunteering and you don't feel comfortable doing face-to-face events, there will be opportunities for you. So we're having that nice balance. And with Wellbeing Champions, we generally sort of, it's very casual. It's kind of like just going for, you know, a chat with coffee with some well-being topics. So one time we did origami. The other day we were doing clay making. It's basically whatever students want. We did yoga previously. So the volunteers really help inform what we do. And when we're coming up with kind of a schedule for the academic year, we do ask volunteers what they would like to see in the session, because they're helping us facilitate and run it. So we want it to be something they really want to be involved in. But also, it also helps because as students themselves, they know what students would want to see and would want to do. So Connect, quite broad, there's something for everyone. We also have a social media team. And this year, we're also specifically going to have connectors who are going to link in with Eureka and the Autism Service in the university for anyone who wants more experience in that area. And we're also talking about having connectors potentially going on some of the Go trips. So we could support you going around and exploring different parts of Wales if you wanted. Basically, Connect has a lot of opportunities. We're also looking Welsh speakers, if anybody can speak Welsh. That isn't a requirement for joining Connect. My Welsh, I'm only just learning, so don't worry. But we have something for everyone, and Connect is so wide and varied that, like, even if you're unsure, it's worth just sort of like linking in and checking, because we definitely will have something that you'll feel comfortable in. And the good thing with Connect is because it is that idea that a student can say, I'd like to connect with you. If you're too busy, or if you feel that you can't provide the support that that student needs, we can find another connector and support you at the same time. So Connect has a lot of support for the connectors. You're not alone in any of this. And I mean, literally the clue is kind of in the name, Connect. We're all connected and we're all there to connect with each other and support each other. And if you're ever feeling like you can't do something, or you maybe need more additional training, again, we can help facilitate all of that. But I think Connect's one of the best projects, but I'm completely biased.
You would say that, you're the project coordinator.
Yeah, well, yeah, I am completely biased, but like, we have really, like, seriously, if you can get to any of the events, Connect have these amazing tote bags at the minute. And I will also say volunteers, it's limited number, so it's first come, first serve for volunteers. We have the most amazing, I actually have one here, hang on. The most amazing bamboo sort of, what do you even call these? They hold your hot drinks, reusable bamboo things, and they're absolutely amazing. And I've already dropped mine, but they're for volunteers because they're limited. And they say Connect and Consulti, so English and Welsh. And all the volunteers will be getting one of these, possibly as well as a t-shirt if they're going to face-to-face events. So, you know, we come with freebies.
Great, thanks, Felicity. The other couple of other projects, just to say, can people still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Brilliant. My internet, I'm in the garage today because I've got a 2-year-old in the house. So I've been regulated. I've been put in the garage basically. So the internet's not the best out here. So bear with me. Joys of home working. So just to say the couple of other projects just to highlight, East is our homework club. So East, you will, if anyone wants to get experience with school children and stuff, you will help them with their homework. Then we've also got the Egypt Centre, which is about inspiring young children and school children around all things Egyptian. Then also I've talked a little bit about youth clubs have surfability. If you can swim, you can go and do surfability. You also might learn how to surf. Surfability is an amazing project based down at Castle Bay. It came from a student and is now its own separate children's kind of charity. It was featured on Children in Need back in last November, and it basically teaches disabled children, disabled adults how to surf, and their whole premise is non-disabled people like to take risks and do extreme sports. Why shouldn't disabled people? And it's a great philosophy, and if you ever go down to Castle Bay and watch the guys surf, it's just an amazing project to take part in and stuff. So those are some of the projects. Is there any questions around any of the projects that we run? Keep looking at the project guide and stuff like that and seeing. Yeah, so what Katie, what we are asking people to do, because normally we have 35 or more projects running, we are just saying to students, if you can sign up to 3 projects, just because you say you're interested in 3 doesn't mean you have to volunteer on 3 every week, but we sort of we suggest kind of get involved in 3 projects, see how those go. You might decide that one of the projects isn't for you and want to swap, so we're asking volunteers at the moment just to sign up to 3 projects. And you can also volunteer, and we do have community volunteers, and some of our students continue to volunteer after they graduate. So I'll move on to the next slide, and again, if you've got any questions. So how do you volunteer? It's really simple. I've put it in the and I'll put the how to volunteer in here now, but basically go to our website. But also what you need to do is you need to sign up to our database. We ask all our student volunteers to do that, and then what you need to do is come along to all of our volunteers have to go through a volunteer induction program, and part of that is because over 50% of our projects work with vulnerable people, so we just need to do some kind of safeguarding stuff with you and check in you know how to volunteer, but also what to do in certain situations and stuff. So you do your Start Here training, which is a 90-minute training, and then you just a workbook. Then you do a really informal volunteer chat with myself or one of my Discovery ambassadors or one of Discovery's ambassadors, and basically that is you just talking through what you want to get out of volunteering, what projects you want to work on, are there any skills that you'd like to learn and stuff, and then basically you can start volunteering. Some of our projects you do need a DBS. DBS is just a kind of a check on that you are able to work with older adults, that you are able to work with disabled adults, you are able to work with children. If you need to do that, so for example, if you want to work on buddied reading or activating or surfability, you'll need to have a DBS. We will do that for you. It's an online process that takes 2 weeks. So you do it online, you'll get a certificate, but that's all paid for by Discovery. And then you can start volunteering. Our one-off opportunities, like the beach clean that's happening today. Next Saturday, there's a pond clean. You don't have to have done any of the Start Here training. You can just turn up and volunteer. And at the end of October, we've got our Give It a Go week, where we are doing activities that anyone can just come along and try out volunteering. You don't have to have done any kind of our Start Here training. So that's the whole how to volunteer. As I said, there's 2 things going on today. You're here with me as part of volunteering day, but there has been a beach clean, and also the guys, if you're on Bay campus, go and say hello to the guys down on Bay campus. They'll be there until 3 o'clock, and go and get some of the Discovery freebies. And that's how to get in touch. So do follow us on social media. Because things are changing all the time, so our projects will change all the time, to let you know a little bit more about what's going on. I've put the links and social media in the chat as well, and then if you've got any questions, just drop me an email. That's my email address. That's my job, is to answer your queries and stuff. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I won't be on campus because I'm still kind of semi-shielded and stuff, but we are hoping that we will be able to start opening the office in the next couple of weeks for at least 1 day a week, fingers crossed. It won't be myself, which I'm really gutted about, because it feels really weird that I do my job, but I do it from a garage. I never, if you would have said to me 18 months ago, you're going to go and work with a whole group of humans and you're only going to see their faces on Zoom. I really missed being in the office and seeing all you guys. So it's just nice to see your faces. But unfortunately, for medical reasons, I have to still look after myself. So I will still be around, but I'm always at the end of an email. If you want to have a chat with me on Zoom and just talk about stuff, that's what I'm here for. Just say, hey Sean, can I have a chat with you and stuff. I work Tuesday to Fridays 8 till 4, so just let me know when you want to have a chat and stuff like that. Is there any questions? Have people, if this kind of answered some of your thoughts around volunteering, is there stuff that you all think you would like to get involved in? That's really putting you on the spot. People are like, no, Sean, I'm going now. But are there projects that interest you?
Yeah, it's just picking which 3 to go for now. That's going to be the hard part.
Yeah, definitely. And then have a little think about, so have a think about your time commitments. So some of the projects is a weekly commitment. Some of the projects are much more flexible. So have a think about that, Lily. So, you know, if you want to do something every week, I would kind of say to you, well, do these projects. But if you want to do something that's more flexible, I would say, oh, we'll come and do some of these projects. Does that make sense? So have a little think about how much time you want to commit. And I think that's the other thing. So for example, the youth club, for example, will be 2 or 3 hours every week. It's because we're setting that up and stuff. Does that make sense? But while the Age Cymru Befrienders is only an hour every week. Does that make sense? So also think about some of that time commitment stuff as well. And also think about what you guys want to get out of it. What do you want to have as skills? What do you want to have on your CV? What do you want to try out? You know, some of our guys have said they want to work with children and then realize they don't like working with children, so they've gone and worked with older people or disabled adults. Does that make sense? Having those different groups of humans. And I think it also looks really good in CV that you have lots of different humans that you've worked with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. And that also is part of what the interview is about. It's kind of having a chat with myself and talking through what you want to get out of volunteering and what you want to what skills you want to gain, and we'll help you kind of go, oh, we'll suggest maybe, oh, have you thought about that project? Is there any other questions? So Lee, I'm going to leave because we are student led. And these two will make it laugh, that I will actually give the final word to them too. So go on then, you two, what's your final message to any students who are thinking of volunteering?
I would say just go for it. If in doubt, potentially ignore that doubt, but maybe mention it at the meeting and we will assuage any of your concerns, because literally there is something for everyone, and we'll find something that works around your schedule at university, something that you're really interested in, and also something that will be really good for your CV. Plus you'll make lots of friends. I mean, there really are, there's no negatives to this. It's really hard to try and find a negative. I can't find one. There's all positives. So, you know, you don't find many things that are all positive. So it's definitely worth checking out.
What about you, Owain?
I'll just say make sure to log your hours so that you, in general and in life as well, but mostly so if you do, when you do volunteering, it goes on your CV. It means you can get that reference and or apply for a hero award faster, which is quite a good thing to secure. But other than that, yes, just keep up the commitment is a good thing. Try and do something that you can do within your timetable and just enjoy it.
Cool. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm going to do that awkward Zoom wave now, which if we were in a lecture theatre, I wouldn't have all done this to you at the end of the session, but hey, we're on Zoom and this is what we all do when we leave a Zoom room. We all wave at each other really awkwardly. And it just makes me laugh. Everyone goes like this at the end. And I was like, if we were in a seminar room, everyone would have just walked out. So yeah, I'm going to do the awkward Zoom room. Thank you very much for coming. I hope to see you at some point in your volunteering journey, and welcome to Discovery. Thanks guys. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Thank you.